Hello, this is Namtro with Namtro Gaming. Today I was going to go over weapon DPS and why it's useful to know how much damage a weapon is going to be doing. So, as you're playing this game, you're going to find many items, and sometimes you're going to find really great items, and they're just going to be great off the bat. You didn't have to do anything special to them, you didn't have to craft them, you didn't have to do crap, and the item's just perfect. That's very rare. An item being super good, just being identified, is usually 1 in a million. Especially with the new masters, you're able to make these items that they had a chance of being very good, but they just didn't roll something that you needed. So that's why we need to figure out how to calculate weapon DPS. How do we calculate weapon DPS? Well, you're going to have to start by finding an item. I found a Royal Skein. Royal Skein is a level 50 dagger, 14 to 57 physical damage, 14 is the low, 57 is the high, 6 crit, or almost 7 crit, 1.5 attack speed, yada yada yada. The thing to note here, just finding DPS, we just need to know the attack speed, and we just need to know this. Like, those are the only things we really need to know by themselves. So, the thing you have to take into account, though, is eventually you're going to run into a weapon with mods on them, and the mods are going to increase the damage effectiveness of that item. So let's say this dagger rolled, on my example, I have 16 and 32. So it rolled a 16 and a 32. It rolled razor sharp, rolled top end on the razor sharp, but on the low end it rolled only mid. So we have to find that damage. So you take the low and the high end damage, add them all together. That's what we're going to take at first. It's just add it all together. And that's 119. Well, that's not our damage or our DPS. That's just figuring out all of it and putting it together. Now to find the average damage, meaning every time we hit, what the average hit's going to actually hit for, without crits or anything. We're just thinking, like, think of a world where everyone has a resolute technique, so everyone doesn't crit. So this right here is the average damage, 59.5. Okay, well, now we can take that a step further. We can decide, okay, this also rolled a Bloodthirsty of a 120. Well, okay, so it has a 120% base mod, but you have to remember, there's also usually quality that you can add on a weapon, which is another 20%, so really that's 140%. So we need to take this number up here, the 59.5, and we need to figure out what that's going to look like. So to do that, we have to first add these together. So we take the 1.2 plus the 0.2, which equals 0.14, or 1.14, or 1.4, sorry. Right? Well, not only that, we also have to take into account that this is 120% of extra damage. It's extra 120% damage. It's 120% after everything. So that means it still has its original damage plus the extra damage. So you have to take it 1 for the original damage. Original damage is 1. That's, you're always at first are doing 100% damage, so that's 1. So now we're doing basically 240% damage. That's how much damage after everything's added together with the modifier. So, or not 240% extra damage, we're just doing 240% damage. That, no extra there. Extra would mean, we're doing 240% damage. So what does that mean? Okay, well, 240% or 2.4, it's just the multiplier, and that's what we're going to take and times the average damage out to find our average damage after multipliers. Our average damage after multipliers is going to be 142.8. We're still not done. We still need to know the attack speed. The attack speed of a rail ski normally is 1.5. So we're going to take a 15% attack speed roll, which is pretty, you can get that relatively low level. And then we're going to take that 1.5 or the 1.5 base attack speed and times that by the modified attack speed that we're getting from the mod. So that's a 1.15 because again we need to include the fact that it's an increase. Otherwise we're going to just have to add it in later. So this right here, if we times these together, it's going to be 1.725. And you can also do it the other way, where if you didn't want to add that 1 in there, so if you didn't want to just do 1.15, if you just want to do 1.5 and times that by 0.15, that would give you 0.225, which is just the difference. That's just the difference of what you're actually going to be doing. So you would need to add another 1.5 to actually figure out, okay, it's 1.2725. That's my actual modified attack speed. But that's an additional step that you don't need to take. To get this step out of the way, this addition step that we didn't really need to have to begin with, all you have to do is put 1 here. Comes out to be the exact same number. So, and that's what we have here. So now we take that modified attack speed and we can use that for our formula of figuring out DPS. Now 142.8 times our modified attack speed, which is 1.725, is 246.33 DPS. That's pretty damn good for a rail skiing. That's not really average. It's above average rail skiing in my opinion. Okay, so now you might be wondering and saying to yourself right now, Namtro, why is any of this relevant? Why should I know this? Well, if you think about it, how many items do you come across inside the game that they could have been really good? It had potential, but it was just missing like just 1 or 2 things that could have been really good. Well, let's say you find an item with these things on them, right? These things. So this right here is a 90%. That's an attack speed of 15%, and then a crit chance of 25%. So, figuring all that out, you would basically end up coming up with a number that would be 128 DPS. So, this is the Royal Skeins damage. Now we need to find the average damage again. Now we need to find the percent physical, which is 2.1. How we got 2.1 is if you take the original percent physical plus the quality, which is going to be 1.1, then plus the original damage, which is 1, which is 2.1, and then the attack speed, which is 1.725 again, because it's 15% attack speed again, which is 128 DPS. Does not sound appealing at all. 128 DPS is a relatively low number. But there's something missing in this, and you could add this with a crafter, you could add this with a exalted orb, but this lets you figure out, okay, there's something missing and I can do extra. The extra that you can do at this point is you could add flat physical with either an exalted orb or with the masters. The master would actually let you add an extra, basically, I believe it's like 9 to 20 physical. It's been a while since I've done this, as far as, well, not done this, but since I've seen what he can add, but it's like 9 to 20 or something like that, extra physical. So now that 9 to 20 is going to have to go here, and now we have to recalculate most of it, because now the damage is completely different all the way from the start, right? So now this number is going to be vastly different. So What is it then? Alright, well, we take the 14 plus the 9 plus the 20 plus the 57. Then you take that number, divide by 2. Take that number times 2.1. Take that number times your attack speed. And that number is going to come out to be 181 DPS, which for a level 50 dagger, that's pretty good still. And that's probably still worth doing, especially like if you're like making a leveling dagger, or just making something until later on, especially if it has that crit chance too. So I mean, you know, level 50 dagger with that much DPS is actually, you know, comparable. Normally you're not going to find something as crazy as this dagger up here. So this would still be worth having, either, you know, just keeping around if you ever decide to make a character like that, or if one of your friends want to make a character like this, or if you just want to trade it off for like maybe even just a couple chaos, because to somebody this might be worth them picking up, because then they don't have to try to look for an item to upgrade to make leveling easier for them. Of course, you're not going to be able to sell this for an amazing amount, but it gives you an idea how many weapons you can come across that had potential of being really good, but all you need to do is add one thing. And that's why it's useful to understand this calculation right here, because if you don't understand this calculation, you don't know what you have to add or what you're missing in order to make this weapon good. Either way, thank you for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys later.